Hello, ladies and gentlemen, whether you're listening from the wasteland or from the best old town on the bottom of the deep blue sea. This is Fallout Rapture. And I think by giving the image on screen today, you already know what we're talking about. Escape the Night, Season 5. Now, a lot of the community has assumed, and given some evidence, assumed that March is the month that we're having people being filmed in and off the set. But even though I'm late to this game, I personally like to throw my own hat into the mix. So are my predictions on where the season will go, who the castmates might be, what setting might we be seeing this time around, and more importantly, what twists we might see. After Season 4's lackluster performance, I personally hope that they step up their game this time. But without further ado, let's get into it. For the first part, I'd like to talk about the cast. Now, while unlike most theorizers for Escape the Night, I don't have a solid cast, but I think we have two people we can sort of confirm that might be going in. Joey Graceffa and his boyfriend, Daniel Peretta. Now, about that. Because of how Joey got trapped in Pandora's box at the end of Season 4, it would seem highly unlikely and odd that he would be the main protagonist again this season, which is why I'm proposing for one of the bigger twists this season, that Daniel take the reins as the protagonist, either as a savant or as a different role, and the mission is trying to save Joey. I mean, this would make more sense clerically. Joey is in Pandora's box. He would be either the main bad guy or like a rescuer thing, but I'll get back to that in a moment. Daniel invites a cast of characters and YouTube personalities to save Joey, which will be a short list considering how most of his friends have unfortunately met their ends during this night. But having Daniel, who was mostly behind the scenes as a producer and occasionally who makes a cameo during the seasons, it would be an interesting twist. Now, as for how Joey fits into the overall setting along with Daniel, let's talk about, the setting itself and the era it will play in. My personal headcanon for this is that Pandora's box is affected by the cognition, the personality, the memories of the person who is currently trapped inside of it. So for the setting of Joey's Pandora's box, I say medieval era. Joey's always seemed to have a connection or a motif for that era. Like here in his album cover with him wearing a crown. He always seems to relate back to that era. And some of the images for that cover of him being sort of like rescued or with Daniel, which could be the theme of that season. The prince being rescued by his loyal knight, or lover in this case. And maybe we could pull off something like with the sorceress back in Season 2. Split personality. What I'm thinking about here is having sort of Joey be split in two. One, the goodness and the purity and the willingness that he had when he went to rescue his friends. And the other half, the villain, him being influenced by Pandora's box, the evil that resided in him, the guilt, the anger, the sadness, all that he experienced in each and every night, taking physical form in Pandora's box. In order to save Joey, you've got to confront him, or the evil that was inside of him that's been left over from the nights. If the YouTubers can beat it, that is Joey's guilt, his anger, the drive to survive, all that from 4 nights of survival. Can they truly beat it? Well, that's what we're going to find out this season, which I think would be an interesting setting. But let's move on to more interesting plot points, or at least some that I like to bring up. The twist. Now for this season, they unfortunately gotta bring their A game The twist as the revivals and the such have unfortunately grown stale since they began using Season 3 and the such. Unfortunately, because Season Escape the Night takes so long to film, it gets sort of bland, the twist, so they need to add something new. And yes, while Season 4's Double Death was an interesting twist, it was unfortunately the wrong call to make during that season, especially considering it was an all-star season, which the fans wanted as many people to make it out as possible, instead of killing off 2 people, in which we could have had a total of 3 survivors, excluding Joey. Which, I mean, that would have been very interesting. But let's talk about the current season, Season 5. For my plan, or at least the twist that I would like to implement for this season, is a change in the revival process. Joey's cognition has affected all Pandora's box, so why would a revival spell be any different? In this imagining, instead of reviving a past guest who has died during this night, you unfortunately had to take the ways Joey has done so many times before, and bring someone into the night. Of course, that person would be able to fight along with you during the challenges and the such, but they'd be at risk just like you. They could very well die during this night. So the question here is, would you be willing to risk somebody else's life, have their blood on your hands, all to save your own hide? Or will you take the moral high ground? Will you be better and risk your own life in order to save an innocent life that was not invited into this game of death in the first place? A bit of a thought. But another twist I hope they implement this season is that there are 4 survivors this time around. Since Joey wouldn't be competing this season and he's the rescue target, that would mean dear Daniel, the showrunner, would survive along with another 2 guests. And if you're able to save Joey, 4 people escape the night, a feat that was never been accomplished in the last seasons, even though Season 4 could have done this route. Which, I say, would make a very interesting twist. Who will Daniel choose to save? And who, unfortunately, will not live to see morning's light outside Pandora's box? I believe that's all in the choices made during the night. Unfortunately, I don't have very many other ideas to speak of. Daniel being the showrunner this time around, a possible betrayal and bringing somebody to a world where they were never supposed to be in. Now that'd be an interesting twist. And who to save poor Joey from the evil and guilt that have taken physical form in a tyrannical leader? That is what I hope to see during Season 5. But I must warn you before I bid adieu to you people, to those poor souls who will eventually lose their lives during this mission in the night, there's still a greater evil to watch out for. The cursed god is still lingering in the shadows. Whether he makes an appearance at all during this night, I believe that is up to him. But I must bid you adieu, fair travelers, and hope you survive the night. So, with that, I bid you adieu, where you listen to me from the sunken remains of a city that never was, or bombed out wasteland. Farewell, dear travelers. The night is still young, and there are plenty more people to escape tonight.